What's up guys, welcome to my Frost Mage guide for the new expansion and for Season 1. So with Midnight, the Frost Mage also changed quite a bit compared to previous expansions. The spec still revolves around building and consuming stacks, but the way the rotation flows now feels, I think, a little bit smoother and is way more easier to track, similar than like a Cane. So in this guide, I'll quickly go over the biggest changes to Frost Mage in Midnight. We go over the stat priority and the optimal gear choices, and we will break down the rotation step by step. So let's get started. Let's go to the stat priority. The most important stat is obviously intellect, since it directly increases the damage of all your abilities. Your second most best performing stat is mastery and crit. It equals. So crit and mastery perform very well in Frost, and after that, usually haste is the strongest option since it increases your casting speed and helps generate abilities and procs faster. Verse are generally slightly behind, but they can still gain value depending on your gear. You will have to see that then. When it comes to the gear, there are a few standout trinkets right now. So we have the Walker's Ribbon. It's a very strong passive trinket that grants an intellect buff, which goes stronger the longer you stay in combat. And another great option is Velgor's Final Stare, which give you a large amount of mastery on use. And finally, there's the Gaze of the Allenseer, another passive trinket that can grant intellect and performs very well overall. For crafted gear, the best embellishment setup is now double arcane wave lining, usually crafted on low stat budgets like cloaks or wrists. Alternatively, you can also craft a two-hand weapon if you want an insane amount of boost of intellect early in the season. One of the biggest changes for Frost Mage in Midnight is the freezing debuff system. So many of your spells now apply stacks of freezing to enemies, which can be consumed by abilities like Icelands to trigger additional shed damage. This will be your main damage. So because of this, Frost gameplay now revolves around building these stacks and then consuming it at the right moment. The general rotation there is a priority list we follow. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of priority lists because they can be very confusing, especially for beginner players. So I will just go over it quickly and then we go into the detailed rotation in slow mode so that you guys can see what we are actually doing. So our first priority is using Flurry if Brain Freeze is active and Thermal Void is not active. Then we always use Ice Lance if we have Fingers of Frost at 2 stacks. The next priority would be the Orb and then Glacier Spike, and then we just Ice Lance and Flurry between our stacks. And if we run out of stacks, we use Ray of Frost to build the stacks again and spread it with Ice Lance. And if we have nothing left, we just use Frostbolt. Alright guys, let's start with the single target rotation. So we will get quickly into the opener. So the opener is basically always the same. We start with our Glacier Spike into Orb, into Flurry, into Ray of Frost. And then we Ice Lance twice. That is our general opener. So we do a Glacier Spike, we do a Flurry here, we cast our Orb, and we use our Ray of Frost to build up the Shatter stacks. You can see the Shatter stacks right over here. Once we hit 20, we can use one Brain Freeze proc from the Flurry, which gives us the Thermal Void buff. And now we use our Ice Lance to consume our Shatter stacks. Here we Ice Lance twice. Can Ice Lance another one, still have 20 stacks. And we can Ice Lance all the way down to 6 stacks. So below 6 stacks, we want to use any spell. Here, the example Ray of Frost or Frostbolt to go up between our charges again. So the general goal after the opener is to generate the Shatter stacks up to 20. Use it with Flurry if you have a Brain Freeze proc and a Thermal Void to shatter the damage. And here in this case, we are still in the opener. And now we're at 6 stacks. And now we will start to cast Ray of Frost again to build up our stacks. So Ray of Frost is just, it's not our main damage spell. It's just to build up our Shatter stacks again. So now we have 20 stacks here. Should not have Flurry here, but mistakes are okay. Now we start again to shatter these stacks with Icelands. We have Glacier Spike up again, so this is our priority. We do Glacier Spike into the Orb. We do a Brain Freeze proc with the Flurry to get our Thermal Void buff, and we shatter with Icelands again. Now we're below 6 stacks. We start building our stacks again. In this case, we have Flurry. I just cast Frostbolt because I did a mistake, but you can just Flurry into Frostbolt. Frostbolt. Now we have a Brain Freeze proc. Actually, I'm just I'm saving up the Thermal Void buff to get more Shatter stacks before I use them. So I just cast one more Frostbolt to get more stacks out of it, and then I just use the Icelands. And this is pretty much the rotation. Now we have Glacier Spike again. We can shatter it. Now we do Ray of Frost, building our stacks again. And now we have our Orb up. And that is the whole rotation. So for AoE, it is exactly the same. Besides that, if we have 5 or more targets, we are using our Enhanced Blizzard right after we use Orb. So we do Glacier Spike, into Flurry, into Orb. Now we do our Enhanced Blizzard. And then we continue our rotation. We Ray of Frost. We consume our Brain Freeze stacks with Flurry, with Thermal Void, and then we shatter the way down. Same thing again, shatter, 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 shatter. Here, for example, if I would have more haste, it would be worth to cast one Blizzard again. But I don't have enough haste, so it's not possible for me. But later on, if you get more haste, you're good to go if you're casting a free Blizzard once more. Here again, we're using Ray of Frost to build our stacks. We consume it with Icelands. Can hear Flurry, Icelands, Glacier Spike. Next one, our Orb is coming up. We shatter, shatter, shatter. Now we do our Orb. Blizzard again. Thermal Void buff. And shatter, shatter. So this is the AoE rotation for the Frost Mage. That's it for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you find this guide useful, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel growing. I will constantly post new videos about playing Mage in the new Midnight expansion, mainly doing Mythic Plus runs, and I will also doing the raid that is coming up on Wednesday. And I wish you all a very good remaining week and a good weekend. I love you all, and cheers.